So, you want to be a photographer. Okay, maybe not everyone here watching wants to be, but I've had an onslaught, dozens, I think, of requests about what kind of camera I'm using, how do you get into photography. We're going to do a show about that and appease some of those newfound friends. And I say newfound friends, I have been staying here with a friend that I've had for a couple years now, Shay Carl, and I am at his place out here in the Airstream, and I've been taking some pictures of him for a calendar that he puts out each year. We've been doing a few different days, it's been nice. I've been able to just kind of edit, take it easy. It's almost like a vacation because being around him and his family is just so much fun. It feels kind of like a vacation, not so much like work. It's just hanging, and that's the style of photography that I like and that I do well, is just documenting life. And that's what they do. They do that themselves. They have a channel where they document their lives in video, and they put it out there each day. So just a really perfect fit. And he shared on Instagram or on his video on YouTube out to, I guess 600,000 people that have watched it so far, and was mentioning my name a few times, and I thank him for that. That was great because I haven't been doing Instagram for too long. I haven't been focusing on it for very much. So there's a lot of new people there that have been following me, and that's where we come full circle, because a lot of them have been asking for some photography advice. And this show isn't necessarily a photography show in that I'm not doing it to teach photography. I'm doing it to share a photographer's life, what I'm doing, the big projects that I am going to be getting into, the one that I'm finishing, traveling to all 50 American states, all 50 states in the United States, and photographing religious buildings. So that project is just about a month away from wrapping up as far as the pictures, and then the book still to come. So I share my life so people of all walks of life can see what it's like to be a photographer, and because pictures are nice and photo stories is what I'm all about. However, on today's show, we're not really going to do a photo story because it gives me a break and allows me to just kind of upload that. We're going to have a discussion about to those who are getting into photography. So, you want to be a photographer. It's kind of like, so, you want to be a millionaire. All right. So, we're going to give some photography beginner advice, camera stuff for the beginner. Look down again at the list here. There is also another video about my camera, and that was a big question. So let's just cover that real fast. What kind of camera do you use? I mean, I could re-quote all the stuff here in the phone of how many people have asked what lens, what camera. So we're going to give a quick answer and then tell you why it really isn't the most interesting question. It is a good question, and I have that question sometimes, but if you're just getting into photography, it's not the best question. But here it is, D810, and on a previous show, I unboxed this, so that means that this was very, very new. I just got it like a week ago. In fact, taking pictures of Shay and his family is the first photo shoot that I've done with this camera and with all of these lenses. And I just got new lenses. So what camera, what lens has been the question. The answer to the lens thing is they're all Sigma, and there's 6 of them. And I've used all 6 of them. However, in the advice for what gear, we're going to give you a little bit of a different response as to what kind of gear you should get. If you're getting into photography, you don't want what I'm getting unless you've got some money and a why not attitude. All right. So what else is going to be covered on the show? Patreon, and how that's going in this soft release. So far, I haven't announced it public, unless you consider this public. YouTube is not my main outlet. Has not been for many years, but I am attempting to make it the larger outlet because I have really become a believer in this concept of community and building a community. I have in the past kind of thrown out my images and put out a lot of content just out there, in mediums like Facebook and Google Plus and even blogs where there isn't a lot of feedback. It isn't a two-way thing. But I have found that on YouTube it's a two-way thing, and that there establishes more of a sense of community. So I like being here on YouTube, and Instagram has even been a great place where there's been a lot of interaction and discussion. I will stay on Facebook because that's where all my friends are, and that's where I see what my friends are doing with their life as well, like the people that I've known for many years. Definitely, this isn't me saying I'm leaving Facebook. I love Facebook. In fact, those that I kind of create the community with here, the people that I'm interacting with on this new endeavor, Patreon, I'm adding them all on Facebook and making sure that these are the group that I really want to interact with and create this community. Do you understand that? Like, it's beyond just like, hey, I've got some friends that I check up with once in a while. These are the people that I want to know what they're doing with their photography, if they're doing photography, or answer their questions about my travels or my photography, that sort of thing. I want to share my art in more of a community sense. Okay, now that we beat that horse to death, we'll come back to that later. I want to answer some of the questions about the title, the subject. You want to be a photographer. This is to those, I'm assuming, that are beginning, and I will check my notes over here. Okay, should you be a photographer? First question. But let's rephrase that, because that sucks. Should you learn about photography? Should you learn how to be a photographer? Unequivocal blah blah. Yes, the answer is yes. Yes, you should. You should get a camera. You should learn how to take really good pictures. Everyone watching this should do it. And even some of the people that aren't watching this should do it. It's a great life skill. Okay, we're going over why. It's a great life skill. It brings art into your life, beauty into your life. It inspires the creator within. Now, we all, okay, not all, most all of us have this desire to create, to put out into the world something interesting, beautiful, special, and photography does that. It helps you see the world differently, okay? It helps you also analyze and solve problems. To me, photography is a problem-solving endeavor, and it translates into other areas of my life. So I love photography for that, and that will help you, and it'll make you better. And so yes, the answer is you definitely should spend some time taking pictures, whether it's with your cell phone or you get a camera. And I'll tell you some cameras that I think would be worthwhile to the beginner. And if you have a camera like mine, then, skip ahead a minute or something, or keep watching, because if you have a camera like mine, you're probably going to be asked these same questions. So don't skip ahead. Keep watching. Now, let's take it to another question that I think some of you have asked. Should I become a photographer? Or photographer. Like, you're getting into photography, and sometimes the assumption is you're going to do it to make a living. I've had several people here on Instagram. I'd give you some shout outs, but there were so many of you that said, that's my life goal. I dream about doing it. And yes, I read your questions. I read your responses. And a lot of them were on Instagram. If they had like a little like thing on comments, I would have liked them. I think a lot of you saw that I went to your Instagram, clicked on a picture, and double tapped it. That was my way of saying, yes, I hear you. However, I'm not going to be... It's difficult to respond to everyone. And there's a lot of you that are private, and that's fine, and you should stay private. Don't worry about that. So I wasn't able to click on your pictures and say, I like this one. This is great. So you're wanting to do this as a life objective. So the question is, should I do photography to make money? No, that's silly. Well, okay, let's rephrase that. Should I start doing photography as a way to make money? And the key word here is start. Should you start photography to make money? No. That would be silly. However, if we are saying that you should get into photography and you should learn photography, and then when you start getting really good and see that you have a passion for it and endurance for it, like you're sticking with it, then let's talk. And let's talk then. And I'll give you some tips. And I'll be there maybe to, I've just started this Patreon thing where I have a little mentorship aspect. I'm all there to help you out, or, give you some tips here and there here on YouTube. Because if you've already spent a lot of time and you've gotten decent at it, that's great. However, it's going to take so much out of you that if you don't have a passion for it, I don't want to see you look at photography as some sort of burden or take the fun out of it. You gotta go and just love it and then think to yourself, do I want to take it the next step? Do I want to be doing this all the time? So for me and my life, photography is more than just a passion. It's like an addiction. I do it all the time. I know other photographers that are successful and maybe aren't as addicted. They're able to put it down and have a family life. I don't have a family, no ring, so it is pretty much a 24/7 sort of thing for me. Okay, so do you get where I'm coming from on this? Don't start photography because you want it to be your career. It's hard, it's time-consuming, and I don't want to see you give up. I want to see you get into photography, love it, learn it, use it as a life skill, to just find a hobby, a thing that helps you create and find beauty and document your memories, and then make that decision, yes, I'm good at it, and people want me to take pictures. And this is perhaps to the aspiring photographer, these next set of tips. I'm going to read a few of them, okay? And this could apply to those that aren't getting into it to make money. A lot of these apply to just everyone. First one, don't spend a lot. Gear. Let me just say an intro DSLR. DSLR means, in just simplified terms, you can take the lens off the camera. That allows you to try different cameras. Now there are mirrorless cameras that allow you to take the lens off, and those are still great. I'm simplifying things. I think that if you can remove the lens, that's the type of camera that you should be aiming for. But in the least, if you're learning photography, find one that does manual controls. That means a point-and-click camera, most of them aren't going to really push you to become a better photographer. You can learn a lot and you can use them to get really good and practice your aesthetics, practice how to frame. There's a lot you can do. But the next step, if you're asking my advice, get one you can take the lens off, a mirrorless or DSLR, and that should help you a lot. Learn to get good with what you have. So if all you have is a cell phone, learn how to get good. And I know that a lot of you think that you're only getting good if you're learning some sort of technical skill. But just think about it. Photography is so much more than just like a technical skill. It's a good-looking picture. Taking a good-looking picture. Capturing an interesting, intimate, exciting moment. And so you can do that with a cell phone or a point and click, but learn how to take good pictures with what you have. Next tip. Learn how to use the manual controls, and yeah, don't fixate on the gear though. That's a big one. So I'm saying, yeah, learn how to use a camera, use one that's maybe a little more complicated, but don't fixate on the technical aspect. Learn the technical aspect, but the word I was using is fixate. Get so involved in it that all you can think of and all you can ask questions about are technical. If that's all your questions you ever ask me or another photographer is, what ISO, what aperture, what shutter speed, what lens, what millimeter. If those are all your questions, you're fixating. You're fixating on the technical when there's so many more interesting questions that really have much more impact on a picture. What were you thinking, and how did this happen? How did this picture come about? And sometimes maybe we don't know the answers, or it's a pretty long question, but that could be your mindset when you look at a picture. It's like, I wonder what he was thinking, or why he framed it the way he did. Those are the thoughts that will lead you to be a better photographer, more so than the technical. And then the next tip, learn the technical. I know I just said don't fixate, but I do think you need to learn how things work, how the shutter speed is going to affect a picture. Like if someone's running past, you need to have faster shutter speed, or how you can get the movement in water with a slower shutter speed. Like that stuff is good to learn. And once you've spend some time, find some blogs and some books, share some down below if you know some good entry stuff. I'm going to share one here, blog.jarviedigital.com. That's a decent place. You can go pretty far back into the archives and see quite a bit. But I'm going to spend a little bit more time talking about the stories, the mindset of a photographer, because it's up here that you best improve here, using this. Improve the mind, it's the better photography. All right. So for now, do me a favor, think about those things. Learn your ISO, your shutter speed, and stuff like that. And when you learn it and you really still don't understand maybe a picture of mine, okay, go for it. You can ask a shutter speed or a lens or something like that. But I think challenge yourself first. Don't, or ask someone else. Someone else in the YouTube comments or on the Instagram, and ask them, all right, what do we think he used, so that as a group we're challenging ourselves. All right, next tip. The lens is just as important as the camera. So I see a lot of people that will buy a very nice camera and then the cheapest lens they can find. Like they spend all their budget on their camera, and therefore the lens is just playing second fiddle. That's a good expression. I like that. Don't do that. It doesn't mean you have to spend tons of money on a lens. There are some lenses out there, and I will put them on a link. Well, I'm going to put one in a link. I'm going to say that the 50mm, and I'll find just find a 50mm 1.8. I'll give you a link to one on Amazon, and you can go and find maybe if you're going to do Canon, find one there, or Nikon, find that, or the Sigma versions. Obviously very nice. I use Sigma stuff. It is my opinion that for pro lenses, and that's like the $700 and up range, $800, if you're going to spend that much on a lens, I would go for a Sigma. They're half the cost of Canon and Nikon, and they're great, and I'm using them. So what can I say? I think they're great. I just sold all of my Nikon stuff and got all Sigma. That should be good for you. All right. I can already tell this is going to be kind of a longer video. So let's kind of finish up with a couple of tips, and then maybe we'll do a few more in the next video. Yeah, let's do that. All right. Let's see. Yeah, let's finish up with a couple more tips here. So a prime lens is a lens that does not zoom. A 50mm is a prime lens, and it is an expensive lens typically. And then I would say go, if you're a beginner, just get one of the kit lenses. They are inexpensive, but it gives you a solid base to start off with, because I know that cameras can be expensive, and save up for a bigger and better lens. And then you have those two lenses to start using. And my other tip was get good with what you have. Don't get into debt to get camera stuff. You can get it for $500–600, maybe a used one for even less. I do like new stuff. So like, for instance, Nikon has a 3300 or a 3000 line and a 5000 line and a 7000 line. I would get, if you're worried about money, get the low line, but get the newest one. So get like the 3300 instead of the 3200, because, well, for instance, I just like some of that new technology. I like that new technology that they have in the newer stuff. Like they have GPS in some of those cameras. That'd be cool. I wish mine had GPS. Things like that. Now let's do a couple. Let's see. Take tons of pictures. I think that's kind of self-explanatory. Each time you're taking pictures, you're gaining new experiences. You're learning something new. Don't just take pictures because you think this is the moment that I have to capture, and I want this to be the great picture, and then before and after that moment, no pictures. Take pictures before, after, during. Take them in different ways. Take them because the act of taking the picture is what will make you get better. Now, perfect practice makes perfect, right? Kind of an expression. Well, pushing yourself to do better, and not just like flippantly just taking pictures, but keep on pushing yourself a little bit more. And here's one way to push it. Since you've listened to me talk for 23 minutes here, I'm going to challenge you, and in the comments say that you accept this challenge, and I will hold you to it, that every time on your cell phone or on your nice camera or somewhere in between, every time you take a picture now, you are required by JARVIE, by me, by yourself, by your commitment, to take 2 pictures. Take the picture and then do the follow-up picture. The second picture. That is the important picture that pushes you to be a better photographer. That's the one where if you're taking a picture like this, from normal height, you're just standing. The second picture, you go really low. You squat down and take a picture. Or you get up on your tippy toes and hold the camera up. Or you go to the side 3 feet, or to the other side 4 feet. You take that second picture, the follow-up picture. Or if you're learning controls and shutter speeds, you change the aperture for the second picture. Everyone every picture you take, you need to take 2 now. And they can't just be click, click. It has to be click, click. Or let me do that there. So you have to do click, click. Or click, setting, click. Okay? You're getting fast, you're changing, you're seeing different perspectives. That, if you do, I promise you, if you do the, what should we call it? The JARVIE follow-up, branded with my name, the follow-up picture. If you do the follow-up picture for, I don't know, 10,000 pictures, meaning 20,000, right? 20,000. 10,000 scenes, 20,000 pictures. You are going to just be so thrilled with your photography come 10,000 pictures from now. I mean, just trust me. Like, that will change your perspective. And don't just get caught up in doing the same second action each time. Try to change it up a little bit. Learn a technique, maybe once a day or once a week, and really focus on that technique. And come back here, and I will teach some more tips. Maybe I'll do another photography-centered show. I am doing photography-centered shows. I will put some of them up on YouTube publicly, but I am trying to help those that I'm going to be mentoring on Patreon. I've taught a lot of people in the 10 years of photography. Probably in the last 5 years especially, I've had well over a dozen interns that I've helped for dozens and dozens of hours. People that have gone on to be amazing photographers in their own right, and I'm very proud of them. We should probably, I want to take one of these days to kind of share them. That's another good idea for a show. I feel like because I've had so many success stories, I can say some of this stuff, and I can go on Patreon and say, you know what, I can definitely mentor some people, and it's going to be super cheap in the photography world or the comparative world. It's still, like $14 a month, but I want to go in there and share these types of videos more like this. So you're getting a teaser here, and I can't do that every single day because I've got so much going on, traveling the world and going and doing this book and other things. But if I can kind of create a small group and answer their questions and help them intimately, look at their pictures on Facebook or Instagram, show them that the ones that I'm liking, tell them some tips, review their pictures and videos, take their questions and give them responses to them there or YouTube, or send them Facebook voice messages, or do a video. If it's a really good question, do a video specifically for them. Then we can have this little club, this little community of I don't know, a few of us. It's fine with me, or a bunch of us. I'll be able to do that, and it'll be great. In the meantime, the rest of you, I'm still putting up free, easy content. I'm still putting up photo stories, which you can learn from. Definitely not making this some, you can only do this if you give me money. But I want to help some people become great photographers. Let me know if you're interested. And in any case, go on Patreon if you love what I'm doing and put $1 down there. I have not released it publicly, just on YouTube. So, I'm just trying to add a few extra patrons there so that the ball is rolling for when I put it up on the big places that I've been on for years, like Facebook and Google+. And all right, so it looks like we went through half the tips, and I usually just do 25-minute videos, and we're already at 30. So it makes sense to save this for a second video. How about that? Let's just take off from where we left off in the next video. How did that sound? And so I'll go over some more tips about getting into photography. things you can do to be successful in photography. So especially if you are kind of ready, you're like, I'm going to go at it hard and I'm going to go past this beginning stage pretty quickly, or I'm past that already. I'm going to give you some of those things, and I will do that in the next video. Alright, stay tuned for part 2. And until then, this is Jarvie from Idaho, Pocatello, Idaho, hanging out with Shay Carl. And then I think this in a couple days, I'm going to start driving to Boston. So if you're en route, let me know. Take care. Peace.